Everyone, and welcome to another session of business research methods. In last class we talked about research strategy, and that was survey, and we have discussed a different kind of survey, and the survey basically gave you some kind of understanding about people behavior, people like, their dislike, and their perception also. So now when you think of a survey, you need to design a questionnaire. So maybe in next unit we have special session on questionnaire, how to design, how to develop a questionnaire, so that actually when you make a survey, you go for a survey, you are collecting data. For what purpose you are collecting? You are measuring a particular concept or constructs. For example, motivation, for example, leadership, for example, perception, intention. So these are different constructs which we use in social science. So how to capture them, that we will discuss in our next unit. But now after survey we have an experiment. So experiment, basically generally people have a perception that it's always in pure science, chemistry, physics, other sciences. But in social sciences also we have experiment. And basically here we see a cause-effect relationship. For example, price and demand. So demand will fluctuate as price moves up or comes down. So price will have an effect on the demand of a product. Similarly, there may be you know other variables beside price that may create some issue, right? Or so all these will affect our demand of a product. So that is called cause effect relationship. And in experiment we go for some kind of intervention and then see that how it's going to affect our variables. So here we have two variables, for example, price and demand. So now you understand what variables are. So here the experiment strategy is used to check the cause effect relationship, analyzing the changes in one variable by identifying relations or impact of another variable, help one to identify cause and effect relationship through experiment. So how much variation is there in one uh, variable due to other variable? So that variation is basically we are going to capture. So and maybe we can see a relationship also, that it has got a positive relationship, negative relationship, or a no relationship. Now once you got an idea that okay, there is a relationship, then we move further and see the cause effect relationship, a cause effect kind of concept. So this we have discussed in last class little bit. Here you see some main feature of experiment, basically used in science like physics, chemistry, conducted on at least two variables. So we need to have two variables. It should not be univariant, right? For example, just a salary. So salary will be just one variable. You need to find out other variable also. For example, salary and expenditure, salary and maybe some other, or motivation. Your salary is high, motivation would be high, something like that. So conducted on at least two variables. Independent variable is manipulated. Effect is observed on dependent variable. And so you increase and decrease your independent variable and then see the effect on dependent variable. Extraneous factors are controlled fully. So here there may be a lot of other variables. So here we decide that the impact of all those who are not part of our study, we keep them constant. So that is known as extraneous factors. Systematic and scientific approach to manipulate independent variables. Field experiment is conducted on real life situations. So generally we find out real issue, real problem in social science in our life, and then we conduct a research. For example, yesterday I got a call from one lady. She has been teaching in one institute in Delhi University, and she wanted to discuss her questionnaire with me. And she said that she will be making some kind of experiment. And then she was designing her survey, and that was on. And then what she did, she has taken 4, 5, 6 variables, and she said in questionnaire there are just 20, 30 questions. So I asked her, how is it possible? If you are talking about one particular construct, it should have at least 30, 40 questions, or 20, 25 questions to capture a particular construct, a particular phenomena. So then she said, I'm not sure. So she had 4 or 5 very constructs, and against that just 20, 25 questions. So I was not happy, and then I requested her to go back and check, because when design your questionnaire to capture a particular phenomenon, for example, a day before yesterday we had financial budget. Now you want to see the impact of financial budget, or perception of people, or what people, they have had some kind of expectation from budget. So expectation may not be in yes or no, right? Or satisfaction cannot be in terms of yes or no. It should be, it should have a lot of questions which actually will measure the satisfaction. Similarly, the expectation, you cannot say yes or no. You should have a lot of variable or dimensions to understand the expectation of individual towards a particular phenomena. So here control of extraneous factor is not possible in field experiment. So in science, pure science, it happens because you have room, you have lab, you control a lot of variables, extraneous variables. But in social science, it's not only price and demand which affect the demand, but there may be other variables, maybe a shortage of supply, maybe the competitors substitute product available. So there may be large number of factors available which we call extraneous factor, and it's very difficult in social science to control them. Now next very important strategy, case study. The case study is strategy is about investigating a phenomena. So if you wish to know, if you want to understand a new phenomena, you want to understand culture, values, system, right, or lifestyle, or way of life, business practices. So it's a real life context. It should be in real life context. It also generate answer to the questions of why, what, and how. The information in case study is collected through interview. So generally you go talk to people, observe. You can observe and note down. You can take interview and record and note down. And you go there, observe them, plus some information is available. Documentary analysis is there, right? So a case study, for example, just think of old civilization. So you can't interview, you can't go for observation, but you will have some kind of, earlier people had an observation, then they made some documentary of that. A case study strategy can explore and challenge the existing theory. So existing theory means some logic is available, because it's all about human tendency. Why do they behave in a certain way? So there is always a logic. But over the period of time, it's not necessary that that logic or that theory is still relevant. So our job would be to understand that up to what extent that theory is relevant, that logic is relevant in this particular context and in this particular environment. So case study actually help you to dig more, analyze the situation, talk to people, observe, and then give out the output and outcome that this theory is still relevant, or this is working. If it is not working, then what is there which is creating some problem to existing logic. So, or maybe you can create something new. So case study is really very interesting concept. Very few people they work on this, but because it's a very hard working kind of concept. You should have knowledge of that subject concept, then you should be smart enough to talk to people in their language, and maybe sometime you need to stay with them. That is another kind of issue. So a lot of people they go there, stay with them, especially from social work. They stay with them for 6 months, 1 year, and it becomes very difficult for them to come back in their original life, in their real life, because they have spent a good time over there. And generally, in these situations, social workers they live with poor family, they live in villages, interior area, and situation is so worse uh, that you never imagine that you would be living with a poor family over there, and slowly you become a part of that family, and it becomes very difficult for you to come out from that phenomena, that situation in your original life. So there have been a lot of example where you can't live your own life because you've been to such kind of situations where you see that people they got such kind of mercy, they have been into living a such kind of situation which was extremely bad. So a lot of concern. Maybe there could be different phenomena. It's not always that I'm talking about poor people, but maybe a different phenomena. Just think of our culture. You go to any state, you go to any city, you will see different people, different color, different habits, different needs, right? Different taste. So that is what you have a different option to understand small community, different community. I told you I have a wish to go to what you call Muradabad, and there is a small community, maybe just 40 or 50 people are there. You remember we used to have Hindi one mala, no, Hindi alphabet, where we used to have Kakaga and Tha for Tatera. So these people, those, make utensils, and they have a special technique they design, right, with special hammer. So I had a wish that I go there, and there is a one community they live in one community, one colony. So I had a wish that I should go there, see what they do, what kind of income they have, because slowly maybe in next 10 years this community will disappear because they don't have any privileges, they don't have income as such, right? Maybe a 50, 60 year back. I haven't seen a Tatera people community. So this is what it's a case study. You talk about people, you observe what they do and note down, and then you feel that okay, this is a story about. So you make a documentary, and documentary would be used in future by other generation of people to come. Now, main feature of case study are it is concerned with a rich and vivid description of event. So you will describe everything. It provides a chronological narrative of events relevant to the case. It blends a description of events with the analysis of them. It focuses on individual actors. So it's not necessary you will cover the whole community. There may be instances where you will capture one individual. I remember in our college, one person he was having some physical he belongs to a physical challenge student. He was a physical challenge student basically. So he whenever there was an exam he used to come late, and after the exam he used to demand for the time. So 3 hours 4 hours was not sufficient for him. So he complained to vice chancellor, sir, that I am suffering from this physical challenge and I need more time. So VC said that okay, you will have 4 hours. Now whenever he used to come in the room, he used to come late one, but he always demanding more than 4 hours. Plus his behavior was very rude and very difficult to understand. So that was one unique case in the whole college. We have 5,000 students, just one person. Other also they have a physical, disability, but they never ever has, represented as such kind of unique behavior. So one person case study is also possible. You find that okay, this guy is different, or it's not always that you will find out physical challenge, or maybe some successful person, one successful person. um, so that is something we need to find out a case, maybe on one community, maybe on one person. The researcher is integrally involved in the case. That is the important feature. An attempt is made to portray the richness of the case in writing up the report. So you need to write up. You should have write up of that particular event or phenomena. Then we have very, very important action research. The action research strategy is different from other strategies in terms of its focus on action, especially when we talk about bringing change within the organization. So now Government of India is in action mode. They have been into action strategy. They says that a lot of people, as I mentioned earlier, they leave college because of some issue, personal issue, or maybe a social or maybe economical issues. So government say that no issue, no problem. If you are not able to continue your education, or if you have a zero education, no education, and now you want to learn skills, you can come to us. Even we are planning to open one center where anyone can come from 15 age to 45, and they can come and learn with us. We'll have special skills for them. So that is what action. You are trying to figure out what kind of issues are there, provide a solution, and then implement it. So it helps in providing answer to question on how it represents change with the involvement of both practitioner and researchers together. So on the one side researcher, on the other side the practitioner. Now another example of the action research, we have those who are in finance, they will have interest in this. We have a provident fund in each and every college. So teachers contribution is there in provident fund. Now every month lakhs crore of rupees we collect and invest in a bank. Now the here problem issue was, so this was practitioners, they had this practice that whatever money they collect monthly, they invest in a bank. Now question arises here for a researcher, that should it be for 1 year, less than 1 year, you invest crore of rupees, or should it be for more than 1 year? Right. Now if you invest it in a plan where you are investing this much money for more than 1 year, then the interest rate would be less. If you invest it for short period of time, rate would be high, because here it is against a perception that if you invest for a long term, the interest rate would be high, right? But here, because it's a government policy, when you see a government bank policy, if it is more, the money is more than 1 crore, then it would be a reverse. So, and secondly, other variables are also there which you need to take into consideration, that teacher can come and ask for a loan, can withdraw money also. So different challenges were there. So on the one side, practitioner, they have this practice that they invest in a bank. So researcher like me decided to figure out that how to optimize the money we collect every month from teacher as their contribution in provident fund, and how to invest it so that we will have maximum benefit. For example, if you make a FD, and if you want to premature it, right, you will lose a good amount. So I decided on the basis of past data to figure out that where to invest, how to invest, and then I need to justify why to invest, because it's a teacher money. So I will defended it that okay. So I wrote a case study. I had a case study, but it was also a because it was actually we are implementing it every month. So on the one side, practitioner, they are implementing it, and I am giving them some kind of suggestion that you should invest in short term, long term, and where you should invest. You should invest in bank or in on some other places, right? This is what our action research. Now comes to the main feature of action research. Action research is referred to variously as term process, inquiry, approach, umbrella term, sequence of events, flexible spiral process, activity, and cyclic. So action research is not limited to one case. It's basically about researching on a particular phenomena, but beside that, implementing it. You are in action. Like government is in action in many cases, like on online teaching and learning, right? So we are practicing it, we are learning, and then we are working on this as a researcher. So it has a practice oriented problem solving emphasis. It is carried out by individuals, professionals, practitioners, and educators. It involves being, for example, this vaccine, right? A lot of people, they conducted a research. A lot of people, the practitioner, they work on it, and finally we have vaccine for COVID-19. So that was actually action research. It involved being respectful of participant knowledge and understanding. There may be cases where you want to test a particular medicine. That is also a kind of action research, right? It involved rigorous applied research, systematic critical reflection and action. A lot of people criticize a COVID vaccine, right? They reflected on that this is not a proper, and a lot of people, they protest that we will not go for vaccination. So this is all about action research. It aims to improve educational practice. Action is undertaken to understand, evaluate, and change. Research involves gathering and interpreting data, often an aspect of teaching and learning. Critical reflection involves reviewing actions undertaken and planning future action. Then we have grounded theory. Uh, Grounded theory is basically this kind of strategy is useful to predict and explain behavior for building a theory. So theory is basically a logic, right? So you dig more, find out the reason that why people behave in a certain way. That is basically proposing a theory. Now, why people behave in a certain way, it's not easy to understand. You need to uh, describe it, you need to understand it, you need to discuss with people, and then finally propose a logic. So here, grounded theory is built through collection of data, series of the observation. It's not that overnight you got some idea and you develop a theory. No, it's not easy. I got a one book, and only day before yesterday I received a book, and that is about theory in management. Approximately 100 theory in management. I first time I have seen a book, and immediately someone has sent me on my WhatsApp, and immediately I downloaded it, and I was very keen to read it. And yesterday I read it, and that was something that one person has done a good job, and he has given approximately 100 theory in management, right? So why, which particular phenomena, for example, two variables are working. He has taken two variables, and then he mentioned that this was the logic, and who proposed that logic. Everything is given in that. These observations over the period of time help in confirming the predictions. This theory help in converting explicitly and implicit belief. So for example, basically we all are human being, and over the period of time we have developed some belief, some custom, some value, because we are part of particular religion or particular culture. So why this belief? If you can logically, develop some kind of argument, that is a grounded theory. So grounded theory provide a direction to the researcher and directs them to generate new theory or modify the existing one. So here you need to, think many times before you propose, and if something is not working, then you propose a new one. Okay, so it would be again, let me tell you, it would be again towards, it's showing somewhere the human tendency, human behavior, and the logic in terms of belief, customs, value. So beliefs are implicit, so it's your duty to make it explicit. And it's not an easy job, very difficult, very difficult. Then we have ethnographic. It is also known as methodology of people. In this research, the researcher basically study culture through close observation and active participation. In this, what happens? Suppose you want to understand why people behave in a certain way in a particular tribe. Generally, people visit Chhattisgarh because it's a tribal area, little bit area of Madhya Pradesh. Now in Chhattisgarh, if you go to interior place, you will see their lifestyle is totally different. They don't need much money, but their language is also different. So what do you need to do if you want to, work, study them, their behavior, their culture? So you need to first learn their language, then you need to behave like them, and then you need some kind of acceptability so that you can stay with them, and then understand them, that what kind of rituals, what kind of custom, what belief they have. So a lot of people from, especially for JNU, Delhi University, especially those who are in good project work, and a lot of government organization, they provide you good funding to see, understand them, and find out some kind of opportunity so that we can uplift their status in terms of quality of life, right? So this strategy is very time consuming. It's not, one day you go, 1 week you stay with them and find out some solution. So this strategy is very time consuming, and the researcher has to immerse in social world as completely as possible. So you will be disconnected with the other remaining world, because you would be staying with them, talking to them, finding out solution to them, finding out what kind of issues, problem they have. A new pattern will be developed on the basis of observation. So it is to understand a new community. In this, not a new community, it's an existing community, but with some other perspective. In this strategy, the researcher needs to win trust of research participants. Okay, last one, archival. Use of administrative record documents as source of information and data. Archives you might have seen in Delhi University. We all have, if you come to BCH office, next building is archive, and there you will see a lot of artifacts, other data information. This strategy helps to understand the past and the changes that have occurred over time. Archival research is more complex and time consuming in terms of identifying, locating, and interpreting relevant documents. And here we have a feature, extracting evidence from archival records. Library and museums are the source of archival research. Original or accumulated evidence are available in the library or museum. University are modern source. So we have, as I mentioned, university, they also maintain some kind of track record of past events. Mm. So nowadays a lot of people, they also keep record, or maybe you go to interior places, you will see they keep some record of old things, old products. A lot of people in developed nation, they have this kind of habit. They want to keep with them the traditional old products, right? So this is what archival. Religious institutions also keep a record of past evidence. Okay, so let me stop it here.